Hey everybody, Dark Committee here from Split Polygon, and welcome back to one of our final chapters for this little project. So I'm gonna pick up right where we left off. I just grabbed another stone asset from Bridge, and I'm gonna try to see. It's just a couple of stones buried in the sand. So if I try to preview it, this is what it looks like. All right. And let's see, I'm gonna go to perspective, which is a render view. I'm gonna disable textures and I'm gonna click tear off copy. That's gonna shoot right to the other monitor, which I'm gonna bring in and scale down. I want to have it here as a reference, and then I'm gonna go to my perspective 1 and I'm gonna start placing these guys. Now I'm gonna try to create a little bit of a story to kind of break the uniform nature of this scene, because it's if you just see a photo of somebody snapping a hill on a tiny little hill on a beach, it's not really that appealing, at least to me, maybe to some people, but I just feel it's we could do more. Alright, so I got that, and then actually I'm gonna go to mesh editor and see what we have. So we did all of these guys. Let's see if we can randomize the grass a bit more. Let's change it to local first. That's gonna change the distribution of this a little bit, and let's add a rotation on Y. That's gonna rotate some of these guys. And one thing I'm kind of starting to question is, should we make this entire area grass to kind of break up this monotony, and also to save us a little bit of work, because if we leave this area as it is, we're going to need to paint yet another mask and add another texture with a different kind of uh, you know sand slash gravel, kind of like rocky surface, to kind of fill in this area. And I feel that's going a little bit out of the scope of the tutorial. Is going to be a little bit more advanced on how do you blend textures with multiple shaders and stuff like that. So I'm going to disable mesh and maybe just save a copy of the scene and just try um, to do something a little bit different instead. It's still kind of the same idea, just distributing this in a different way. And I minimized my view, which was not the intention that I had. So let's just smooth some of these peaks, maybe soften this a little bit. And this means that we're going to need to update our scattering map, which is no problem at all. All right. So if I get my hypershade back, switch to Lambert 1, which is my painting material. If I can find it, Lambert 1, graph network. This is that guy, and I'm gonna assign it back to my plane. Press 6 to view this, and I'm gonna continue to paint. We make this a tiny bit smaller. Go to rendering, texturing, 3D paint tool, activate that, open up the settings, and we should be good to go. And add a white color instead and just fill all of this area with white. And I can actually press 6 in this view as well, so I can see exactly how much of this is going to be seen from the camera. And this mask would be adjusted one final time when I add all of the other assets, because I want to add maybe some grass to kind of ground some of these, and But for now, I'm just gonna do just a simple paint to update. So I'm gonna save textures. All right, that looks good to me. Now let's see if I go out of this mode, enable mesh. Now that should be populated with grass, which it is, which is great. And let's see. Now, one thing is obvious is this grass is just one type of grass, and in reality, you would have multiple types of grass and more of it as well. So let's see what can we do to help this. First of all, let's see. Let's grab this palm. I actually bought this palm tree asset between lessons, so I'm gonna export that to Maya. All right, and let's find a place for that. Maybe something along these lines, or maybe on the other side of the view. If I rotate it this way, there we go. Something to break, to add a bit more framing. What I meant. Okay, we can figure where to put this one later. For now, let's just give it a generic position and leave it there. That's a very bad position, but I'll figure that out later. Let's grab a branch. This is a beach kind of a branch which will be suiting for our environment. All right, and that's I'm gonna place that somewhere. Maybe that can be close to camera actually to add a little bit more detail to the scene. Now we can find a better position. Later, I'm just gonna block things out now. What can we do to make this interesting story-wise? Mushrooms wouldn't really go on the beach. Logs, these are all forest assets. What is this one? Assembly rock. We could try to put this one in the back actually. It has some sand around it, so I'm thinking might be a different kind of beach, but I think in the distance it wouldn't really make too much of a difference because most likely I'm going to put some sort of depth of field in the back, so I think that should actually do the job. Maybe move it from camera point of view a little forward, and this grass is going to cover the blending as well, which is going to be nice for us. Maybe move it slightly over. All right, let's see what else we have. Barrel, wooden. We could actually try to make up a story like this was maybe like a shipwreck and we have a bunch of stuff lying around. So let's see how that goes. Let's export the barrel and maybe a few more assets. Barrel I think is LOD 0, which means it's going to be quite a high poly asset, so it will take some time to export. Just keep that in mind whenever you deal with heavy assets. They need to be transferred between apps, so they need to be exported, imported, shaders need to be set up, so just something to kind of keep in mind that if you do stuff like that, you would need to wait a little bit longer. And all right, I don't know where exactly I'm gonna place this, but let's just bring a bunch more stuff. What else? Concrete doesn't really make sense. A shovel buried in the sand, that can totally work. And these two guys as well, actually. Maybe like they were on a ship and now we see just bits and pieces of it. We can find some boards to kind of mimic like a ship being wrecked. That would be a cool add-on. So if we rotate the shovel and maybe place it like that. I may actually bring this one closer to the camera instead, just to kind of give the scene some depth. You want to make some layering in your scene because that's how you're going to tell scale and depth of what you're doing. And this is probably going to change position 100% once I start polishing, but for now we're just throwing things in. Let's see what sticks. A crate. All right. Is that a crate or what's it called? Chest, wooden chest. Yeah, makes sense. Let's bring that close to the barrel thingy and try to find a position for it. I'm gonna position it from camera later on. Now I'm just throwing these around. And what else? This guy could work. I don't know. I don't know if you would have this kind of. This is like a husk for a glass bottle, like an old timer kind of thing. But if it's a shipwreck thingy, it may happen a long time ago. So now we're just seeing bits and pieces of it. So all right, what else do we have? More rocks maybe. This is, what kind of a rock is this? Doesn't it say? It just says rock. Okay. Well, I guess for background asset, this one and this one, this is a pretty big rock, so this may actually work in the distance to kind of break the silhouette, maybe like behind the hill or something like that. Yeah, compared to a human, this would be a big rock, so maybe if we stick it somewhere in here, maybe. Let's see. Let's maximize this view and try to find a home for this rock, this rocky boy. Maybe even on the top. We really need to start rendering to see, like, to find a better position for this. I don't really like it there. Maybe move it somewhere back. Okay, that may work. Alrighty, so I think we need a bit more variation in the grass. To be honest, it's looking a little bit sparse and too kind of uniform, just having one type of grass. So what else do we have? Let's see what else I purchased. 3D plants. Okay. What can we do? Maybe some dead grass that would be kind of suiting on the sun. You would have some grass being, burnt by the sun. Maybe dry grass. That can totally work. Okay, let's think about that one. Maybe try these guys and maybe these guys. I want to keep the scene kind of. I'm gonna make a contrast with like now that I've added some props, I would try to make some contrast with having a very lovely kind of like colorful environment with kind of a little bit of a dark turn with the shipwreck story that I kind of came up with on the fly. Lily. All right, let's group our lilies and let's do another mesh network. So let's go select these guys and create mesh network, and go to distribute mode, switch it to mesh. Our ground is our input. Alright, so that's gonna populate our ground plane with our new flower. So I'm gonna disable the old mesh network and build the new one. So first of all, let's jump to and add an ID node. Now we have all four of variation. And second thing is we're gonna add visibility, and we're gonna switch the type to UV, and we're gonna grab our hypershade and graph our Lambert 1 because we need the mask again. I'm gonna use this mask. I'm not gonna paint another one. Technically, you can add another one, but I just gonna do this one because yeah, it's a tutorial. I don't want to make it too complicated. So strength map, just drop that. And this one actually will ask for a mesh helper, which was interesting because last time it didn't, but we know how to fix that. So grab the ground and add that in, and that should do it. Now get the distribute node and add like 100 of these guys. So now we start to see them. Maybe add 1,000 of these guys, and now we see them even more. Alright, now if we combine this with the other grass, it's going to start to look a little bit more natural now. Okay, one thing I do want to do, and this is a little bit of a cheating, but I want to grab these original ones that are hidden, and I'm going to scale them down because I want these to be a little bit smaller. I don't want to dominate, I just want to break things up a little bit. Right, so let's see what shader I have attached to this thing. It's the Lambert 1, so I need the beach material back so I can do another test render. Where is the beach sand? There you go, beach sand, graph that. Assign it to the viewport, and maybe go to the perspective view, open up render view, and do another render. Now, obviously, this placement of these objects is gonna change. Right now, I just threw them in, but it's kind of good to kind of give a little bit of a context and just to see what are we, looking like at the moment. I do test renders constantly just because, the more you see your final result, the more you can get like actual representation of like where you're going, kind of like get like a clear goal. And also when you see things start to come alive, you get a little bit more inspired. So that's another benefit of that. All right, the render is coming in. Let's see, I didn't disable displacement on a lot of these, so my computer is going to struggle to translate this, so I'm going to have to go and optimize that. I've already shown you guys how to do that, so I may do that between lessons. And there we go, we're starting to see some pretty cool results. So yeah, I'm gonna stop this lesson here. You can see we have the breakup of this. I may increase the density on the grass. I may try to add another layer of grass maybe between lessons. And yeah, so that's it for now, guys. I'll see you in the next lesson where we can tie things off and wrap things up and get a finished project. All right, thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one.